Hidden away deep inside the jungle are the last of the Lihzards, survivors of a great civilization brought to the verge of extinction by their own embitterment. Contrary to what even the Dryads believe, not all of them resided within the jungle temple, and there are those that live free even to this day, learning the hard way the consequence of their people's past. Gods had begun. Humanity had all players deep and challenging, different is less likely to get me horribly In the time of upheaval during the Great Solar War, many Lihzards perished needlessly to the hands of their friends and family, those they had once shared a shining civilization with. The remnants of their people were ushered into the jungle temple, under the belief that they were being locked away for their own protection. Really though, it was for that of the outside world. Their kind must be preserved, for it too was a part of the natural order, but never again would they endanger the purity of the world. Never again would they bring forth an Armageddon of their own doing. But there were some that saw through the facade, Lihzards that hid from the benevolent supposed saviours. Once they had been led into the jungle, it had been easy enough to slip away into the dense undergrowth. After all, their would-be jailers were friends of the battle-weary lizards, and had no reason to believe that anyone would want to escape their gracious gift of salvation. Even if they did, there was little chance the escapees would survive the jungle, for even before it had been turned wild with the Dryads' fury, the vegetation was near impenetrable, the creatures dangerous to interlopers, and resources scarce. Even so, those few accepted the risks, and made good their flight to freedom. There was no pursuit, but as expected the environment was harsh, and quickly began claiming their numbers, through poisonous berries, foul water and the strange creatures defending their territory. The exiles' numbers dwindled. From dozens they became few, and from a few they became a handful. The loss of their comrades had not been in vain, however, for through their sacrifice an understanding had been gained of the land around them. They knew now the fresh sources of water, what territory to avoid, and which plants were edible. Probably most importantly, they had gained a respect for nature that their forebears had never managed to grasp. Over time, while the rest of their people settled into the prison they would call home, the exiles built a life among the twisted vines and towering trees of the jungle. High in the canopies, invisible to all others, and safely away from danger, they constructed dwellings, and when their population inevitably began to grow, these became treetop villages. In the course of their new existence, the Lihzards would tame many aspects of the jungle, learning the unique benefits of their home while maintaining a form of symbiosis with it. They gathered venom from dangerous creatures to utilize in hunting, crafted specialized armor from the bones of their prey, and even began to develop more specialized and advanced technology from their primitive materials, including leaf wings that allowed them to glide above the jungle, spotting dangers and resources in amongst the trees. After generations of separation from their own kind, and influenced by the environment around them, new belief systems would begin to evolve, new forms of culture based on nature and the cycle of life and death. As with all other peoples in Terraria, their resolve would soon be pushed to the limit, as those terrible creatures would begin descending from the stars. At first, the jungle proved to be enough protection from the nightmarish battles being fought beyond the wall of trees, but eventually the last of the Dryads would return, bitter and broken, as the Lihzards had once been, and change the jungle into something far beyond what they had ever known. In order to survive the harsh new environment, the exiles would have to become hardened and fierce. Like everything else around them, they would face the extinction they had held off for so long. The fledgling beliefs that had begun to grow in the exiles community, of occult magic and mysticism held within nature itself, were now adopted by the vast population, desperate to be saved from the encroaching dangers of not just cosmic horrors, but the Dryads' rage. Of all the new doctrines that were adopted, one of the most popular and extreme was that of sacrifice. It was believed that dangers could be driven off by spilling the blood of their own kind, for if they were willing to brutalize their own people, what would they be willing to do to outsiders? Incredibly, this was not the most ruthless form of sacrifice the exiles were capable of. Parents would offer up their young to be indoctrinated with bloodlust and become warriors to drive off any attackers. Upon completion of their training, the children of Lihzards would have their tails docked, lest it become an encumbrance, given unique ceremonial masks, and be dubbed pygmy warriors in light of their stunted size. Even with their immoral fighting force, the exiles still suffered at the hands of the jungle, particularly the war breaking out between the ever-growing beehives. As a last resort, members of the exile community began practicing dark magic in an attempt to make their weapons more powerful, swiftly heal injuries, and deliver their people from the dark times. They came to be known as witch doctors, and quickly became revered among the population, not only as those who could perform miracles, but as symbols of hope. Then came the day when a strange and powerful individual tore through the dangers of the jungle like they were nothing. Like everyone else, they had no idea that the villagers hang high overhead, but this champion would go on to defeat the hives that had been tormenting the exiles, a feat thought to be impossible previously, before vanishing as quickly as they had come. Inspired by the display of power, one of the witch doctors disobeyed the precedent set in their culture and chose to leave the jungle in search of this mighty warrior. With luck, they would learn the secrets they held and return them to the village, freeing their people from the tyranny of the Dryad's rage. Little did the witch doctor know, however, that the Dryad herself was a companion of the champion, and that much more lay at stake than the fate of just one exile village. Hi everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and want to support the channel, then please consider subscribing and hit that bell so that YouTube might possibly inform you when a new video comes out. If you want to go that bit further, please feel free to support the channel on Patreon or go and buy some merchandise on Spreadshirt and Teespring. Links are all down in the description. Other than that, have a great day and I'll see you next time.